So next I want to talk about my for what I see is proof of life in our own solar system that's not on Earth. I think so. And I have a few different examples and things to compare and cross-reference and show you. I think the best way to start is with our own hydrothermic vents down at the bottom of our oceans. Okay, this is from NASA, all right? And these are images here of hydrothermal vents that are on the bottoms of our oceans. I think these are amazing. They are teeming with life. And I want to read about them, and then we're going to move on. Okay. Just going to jump to, okay, right here. Hydrothermal vents bear some similarities to terrestrial hot springs, where geothermally heated water seeps up from deep below the ground. However, hydrothermal vents are found underwater and in the dark. Sunlight can only travel so far through water, depending, of course, on how clear the water is. In crystal clear water, light might reach around 1,000 meters at most. This is important for life because most life on Earth is dependent on energy from the sun. Photosynthesis organisms, like plants, utilize sunlight to produce molecules like sugars or carbohydrates that are the basic food chains for the surface biosphere. Everything here eats light, or eats something that eats light. Something like that. Plants eat light. That's what their food is, light. And it's really amazing when you think about it. The sun is emitting this light, and that's what we eat. If you're not eating plants, you're eating meat. Meat through down the chain ate plants. That came from light. So it's really amazing, right? But the stuff at the bottom of the ocean, it's too far. It's not getting any of this light. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The heated waters spewed out of the hydrothermal vents are rich in chemicals that chemosynthetic organisms can use as a source of energy. The chemicals would be toxic for human beings, but chemosynthetic microorganisms at the vents are able to convert the chemicals into energy. The process of chemosynthesis is what ultimately powers entire ecosystems around hydrothermal vents. Now, that premise right there, when I first discovered that, oh man, over a decade ago, I was so intrigued by it because I have loved space for a long time, long before I ever started doing a YouTube show. And I have always been intrigued by Enceladus, which is one of the moons on Saturn. Am I right on that? It's Saturn, right? It feels silly if it's not Saturn. Saturn, yeah, okay. So, in the 70s or 80s, I don't remember when Voyager 1 or Voyager 2, one of the Voyagers, there was two of them, made a pass by Saturn and took pictures of Enceladus, and there was these huge gusts of water being sprayed out of the moon, Enceladus. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, and I looked into it, and they believe that underneath the icy surface of this moon is an ocean with hydrothermal vents. Well, let's just read about it. And I mean, I basically just said it, but. So here it is. You can see this is not a real image. This is just a recreation. So you see Saturn behind it, and then you see these gusts of plumes of water coming out of this planet. Obviously, something's creating it to be pushed out. It's not a dead moon. It's active. It's things are happening, right? Enceladus is Saturn's sixth largest moon and one of the most promising potential sites in the solar system for hosting life. It orbits Saturn within the planet's E-ring and continuously spews out a concoction of water and simple organic chemicals into space. At around 800 miles per hour, shoots those things out. Just freaking busting loads into space nonstop. Anyway, sorry. Forming huge plumes that extend hundreds of miles into space. While some of the material falls back to the icy world, some escapes and feeds Saturn's large E-ring. Because Enceladus is coated in clean, highly reflective ice, it has the brightest surface of any object in our solar system. However, its surface is not uniform, with some of it being highly cratered and other areas being almost entirely crater-free. Scientists think this points to relatively recent geological processes that enable Enceladus to renew its surface. Like the other icy moons that orbit gas giants, it's thought that Enceladus maintains a liquid subsurface ocean through tidal heating. Enceladus is closer to Saturn at some points than others, which causes Saturn's gravity to generate intense tides and friction, which dissipates as heat. According to recent research, Enceladus' subsurface ocean likely contains most, if not all, of the chemical ingredients necessary for life. The Voyager spacecrafts 1 and 2 so it was both of them, collected some of the first real data on Enceladus, while the Cassini spacecraft took the first close-up photographs of the moon, as well as collected detailed data on its chemical composition. Proposed future missions to Enceladus would study the moon's geology, chemistry, and potential to sustain life. Now I'm going to jump down. Here it is. Now this is perfect. So this shows it's the surface, but on the cross section, no, I didn't mean to do that. You could see these thermal vents down at the core. Now they do believe that there are thermal vents down there, and that's part of the reason, or at least that's one theory as to why and what's causing these shifts and the changes, the geological changes on the moon. And that's what's causing these plumes to be pushed out. And I think that's pretty incredible. I mean, if you look at... Oh no, where's my other... Okay, here it is. If you look at back to Earth now, there's this place called Lake Vostok. Lake Vostok is underneath Antarctica, and it has a giant ice sheet covering it. Here's a cross-section of what Lake Vostok is. This is actually the deepest lake on Earth, and it is huge. This is a massive lake. It's all the Great Lakes in America combined, and I think more than all of them combined. Some crazy amount that's underneath here. And you can see that it's under just an incredible amount of ice all the way down. What do we know about ice? It's not water. Sunlight does not go through it. There is no sunlight that's hitting this ocean, or excuse me, this lake. Lake Vostok, completely cut off from the sun. But there is 3,500 species that have been discovered here. 3,500. This is crazy. So we have on our own planet proof that you don't need sunlight for life. All you need is an energy source and the right conditions for life. So we have Enceladus here that has all the right conditions. It's got thermal vents, supposedly. And even if it doesn't have thermal vents, and it's just the friction from the tidal energy that Saturn causes, that's still heat. That's still an energy that is being naturally pushed in, creating what I believe is more signs of life. What if it's the same types of life? What if it is? From what I know about the thermal vents, there's like these shrimp-like creatures. Andreas brought up this, I don't remember what it was called, but it was some sort of snail that got as large as a car that lived in lava or some crazy thing. Tube worms, yes, Chelsea, exactly. Tube worms. Lake Vostok is in Antarctica. It is Russian scientists that discovered it, and that's why it sounds like it's Russian. Lake Vostok. Iron snails. Very cool. Let's look at some of here's the drill site when they were drilling down into Lake Vostok. Forget drill contaminants, antifreeze artifacts, and human skin cells. It's finally time to bust out the most enduring quote of the 90s: life will find a way. After much controversy and an array of scientific challenges, researchers are finally ready to confirm that life in Lake Vostok in Antarctica, which has been sealed up for 4 kilometers of ice, 2.5 miles of ice, for millions of years, doesn't just exist, it thrives. Yeah. Skepticism was a natural reaction when reports first started coming in about the possibility of life in the subglacial Antarctic lake. Situated under 4 kilometers of ice, the lake is even more inhospitable than the surface directly above it. While drilling, researchers at Vostok Station measured the air at negative 89 degrees Celsius, the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth. The ice above the lake puts the water under enormous physical pressure, comparable to that found under the surface of Jupiter's moon Europa, but also cuts it off completely from the sun. In such extreme conditions, and with essentially no outside energy input for millions of years, finding life in Lake Vostok seemed, let's just say, unlikely. And yet, here we are, having found living organisms in similarly isolated caves in the burning mouths of volcanoes and even floating in Earth's upper atmosphere. Perhaps it shouldn't have come as such a surprise to find life in these waters. In March, researchers confirmed the existence of a genuine Vostok-dwelling bacterium. It was a species never characterized before, which was exciting, hopefully not brought to the surface. That's how the thing started. But the assumption was that this was a plucky survivor hanging on by the skin of its teeth. Now, however, it seems the species revealed a few months ago is just one of a thriving community of living in the most extreme of environments. And this just goes and talks about all of these lives. But I'm not talking about the life on this planet. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because I know about the life around thermal vents. So I know that it's fake. It's a deception. Really? That's where you guys are going with this? Wow. I'm excited about this. I think it's freaking cool.